So welcome to my next video on the fire truck. This is the final 3 stages on pack 5. This is 35, 36 and 37. Let's see how I get on. Okay, so let's start with stage 35, assembling the box frame shell, and we get two parts for this stage. We first of all got this big box frame shell, and that's metal, and we also get this plastic box frame reinforcement. As you can see, it's plastic. We also get 3 bags of screws, which as always, let's pop them in the boxes. So in no particular order, we've got some K screws which we get for the first time ever. We've got 3 screws there, and they look a bit top hatish screws. So let's pop those in there, and I'll keep that bag separate because, as you know, I use those labels to pop onto my boxes, and I don't have a K one at the moment. We've also got some H screws. We've got 4 of those. They just look like ordinary silver screws, and they will pop in the box with all the other H's that I've got. Oops, one left in the box there. There we go. And lastly, we've got some B-type screws, and they look much smaller, countersunk screws. 4 of those, and they go in the box as well. So the first thing we need to be doing is taking our box frame and our reinforcement. We need to be popping this into there. I think there is a right and a wrong way. It needs to go this way. It actually looks like this is what's the word I'm looking for, symmetrical, so it doesn't matter which way round it goes. So that's going to go in there like so. I can see there is actually a right and a wrong way, and the reason for that is the screws. So you'll notice that there's 3 screw holes along there, and there's 3 screw holes along the bottom, and this is the way that I tried to put it in the first time, and the screws just didn't match up. So I've just turned that around, and that's gone in like that. No problems. In fact, it sits quite nicely without the screws. In fact, do you know what? It doesn't want to fit in. That's interesting. It's not fitting. There we go. It just feels a little tiny bit longer than the actual recess, but with a bit of manipulation it will go in, and it will go quite flush actually. And I would imagine that once those screws are in there, that will just stop any warping. So once that is in, we need to fix that with 3 B-type screws, and those B-type screws are coming in from underneath like so. So we get our screwdriver and our 3 screws, and I'm going to pop the middle one first, and you can see you've got some nice little recesses there where the countersunk screws will go. So very carefully we're going to pop this first one in. I don't want to push this out, so what I'm going to do is just pop the screws in as normal for me. We're just going to pop them in just enough to bite, and third one can go in, and we can see that is in, but if I pull that will give a little bit. So let's just tighten these screws up. That's one. Just be careful how you hold it. If you push too hard there, you could potentially break that because it is just plastic. I always find it interesting, the science behind this. You have a metal box which is reinforced with a plastic piece. You know, you would think that you would reinforce plastic with metal, not the other way round. But science is a funny thing. So that is in there nice and solid. And then the next thing we want to do is we want to take our frame from before. This came in from stage 30, and we need to place that inside the box frame shell. 4 projecting pins on the reinforcing struts. It says 4 should fit into the corresponding holes. Well, there is actually 6 projecting pins, so we can see there 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and these are off center in the middle, so you can't get it around the wrong way. I can see that's the wrong way round, so it's going to go in like that, and hopefully this will go in no issues. It's obviously where it's a 3-sided figure, the ends are a little bit tricky, but just give those a little bend, and that's not quite as simple. It's not difficult, but those pins don't really want to go in. There we go. So once they're in, you see they will go in, and you can see that the pins have gone in absolutely fine. Now I am a little bit concerned at this stage about this being a little bit higher there, but it seems to be equally up, so we'll see how that goes. And that is actually the end of that stage, which is quite interesting. So on to stage 36. Now 36 is assembling a storage compartment and rear door, and these are the parts, and this looks like, again, nothing we've never done before, just a different size and shape. So we have got quite a few parts all shoved into each other. There we go. So we have got a compartment inner, which is this white bit here. There is a magnet on the side, and that appears to be stuck to it, so that's already assembled for us. We have got a left hand rear door front, and we can tell which one that is because it's got the first half of the word fire on it. And then we have a rear left hand rear door back, which is plainish silver. It's got a little bit of detail on it, but on the whole it's fairly plain. So I wonder if we could just do a little panel wash on there. That could be quite interesting. That's my word of the week, panel washing. It's a technique that I've learned in something else. Right, so we have a compartment door front, quite nice. Now some little detail down here, and I don't think you'll be able to see it because I can't even see it either, but there's definitely some kind of diagram there which I'm quite interested in. Come on, focus. So if some computer whiz kid wants to pause the video just as I brought that up and find out exactly what that is, that could be fun. And this is the compartment door back, and we have 2 door handles, not 1 this time, and we have some D-type screws, and as always I'm going to pop the screws away first, and there's 3 of those, and that's going to go in the box with quite a few in already. And again, the debate rages on, are these screws spare or not? Well, it does keep saying in the instructions, always keep the spare screws because they will be used in a later stage. So I guess that they are kind of building them up for something much more exciting later on. So take the compartment door front and back parts, checking that the square recesses for the magnet are aligned, and I've gone off center on the camera, and this is the back, and it needs to go this way, because always remember the little square in there will go around the magnet, and little dry fit, there we go, and that's a very good fit. So we get our glue. As you know, I need to shake furiously with my super glue, and even then it may not stick quickly, but once it does stick, it's always super tight. So little dab of glue on this peg, one dab, two dab, and I do notice that these pegs are different sizes, and put that in there. And it's always when you've got the glue that you struggle to get them in, isn't it? There we go, that's one door complete, and I suspect the next stage is not what I thought. Oh, it isn't what I thought it was. I thought we were going to assemble the next door. So the next step, as we've done this before, we're going to pop this along there like so, and you know me, I do worry about these doors, but that door actually looks fine. So once that's on, we're going to just apply a little bit of glue along here just to stick this hinge on. Try and keep it neat, try and put enough glue on, but not so much that it squeezes out, because we wouldn't want glue squidge. There we go. There we go. So try not to touch the glue. Pop the hinge in there like so. Give that a minute just to bond. And that is quite pleasing. That may actually be some of the best gluing I've ever done. I don't know what that line is down the middle. It looks like the metal is bent, but I can assure you it's not. Right, so one container, and then the next step is we want to take one of these little door handles. Remember, the door handles point downwards, but they also have a flattened side. So the flat side, if you're holding it downwards, the flat side is on that side. So keep a note of where that flat spot is. We can see also the flat spot is that way. So it looks like the compartment definitely going that way. So what I'm going to do, because that's a very small area, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just squeeze the glue just a little bit. Don't do this with thin glue, because this is thick, it doesn't really run much. So I'm just going to get a little bit of glue on a cocktail stick, apply that inside that hole, and then we can take one of these handles, make sure we get it around the correct way, and we'll just meet those together, and do you know what, all of a sudden it's not going to fit. Okay, come on guys, because I've got it upside down, that's why. There we go. So does that mean that this is a downward pulling compartment with a little logo in the top? Let's compare it to one of the other. Yeah, look, so the door handle is this way, so the little teardrop points downwards, and that means that this compartment is a downward pulling compartment. So it must be a high up one. So I don't know, well maybe, I don't know, I'm talking I'm starting to enter the depths of things that I don't really know. Okay, so next up we get our rear door, and same as before, we get the back of it, and I can't figure out which way round this goes. Right, so it needs to end up looking like this, with the detailing on the left and the hinge on the right, and I can see that there is a magnet already in there. Right, that's fine. So a little bit of glue onto each peg, and as I'm gluing this, it's just suddenly become clear that these pegs are slightly different sizes. No, they're not. They look, must be the angle I was looking at it, but they look just a little bit different sizes. Right, there we go, that's that on. And next up we need to attach this on the back here. Oh, that's interesting. So the door hinge fits between the box frame and the box frame shell. Holding the door, gently push the hinge into the gap. So you see there's a small gap, and that's going to slip in, should slip in. Wow, that's quite awkward. I think it, there we go, that's, oh no, that didn't work. There we go. So that slid it in there fine, and you'll see there's two holes in the hinges, and that's just going to meet in the middle there, and I would guess we would screw that in. You can see how the screw holes are in the correct position. Check the hinge is in the gap between the box frame and the shell, and ooh, that's a very stiff fit. It does go, but it is very stiff. Alright, so, and then once in position, check, have I missed a stage of the instructions out? I have done, because I haven't put the handle in. I missed that one. So what I'm going to do is, you know, I'm going to take it out just in case, but this door handle needs to go in, and the reason I'm going to take it out is because if there is a problem with the glue, I'm not going to get glue all over the box frame. I can't believe I missed that. How unusual of me to miss out stages. So that's going in just like that, just like that. There we go, that's in. So we'll pop this back in the box frame, and so having done this now a couple of times, I find it's easy if you just get the corner in and then slide it in, and then work it, put, and then close the door. That should get that lined up perfectly. So once that's lined up and we're happy with it, we need to screw in 2 D-type screws. So let's get one on the ground, and these feel like, yes, these are countersunk screws, so you aren't going to feel these screws once they're in, and that's, doesn't feel like it wants to go. How interesting. And the reason it didn't want to go was it wasn't quite lined up with the hole in the box frame. There we go, there we go. No, that didn't work. Right. So let's get something we can just maneuver that with. There we go. So what I'm doing is I'm getting a couple of cocktail sticks, and I'm kind of ramming them into the screw holes. Then hopefully that will line that up, and then we'll see how this goes. Oh, that's a lot better. Yes, brilliant. So I think I'm just going to switch screwdrivers. I want to make sure that goes in nice and level. There we go. Right, so let's have a look at this other screw. Do you know what? This might be the most difficult part of the build. Getting these screws lined up, screw holes lined up. Do you know, I don't think that one's going in. There we go. No, that is right. Sorry guys, I thought this was going to be a nice simple build, but it looks like I'm mistaken. Right, I can see my problem. It's actually misaligned on the box frame inner. It's as though this box frame isn't coming down far enough. So as a result, all I've done is just churned away at the paint. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pop the screw in without the compartment in, just to make sure we know that that screw hole is working, which I think it definitely is. So I don't know why I've got a completely different part to put in there, and obviously I am being careful. I don't know if you can hear some banging where I keep accidentally catching the table. Right, there we go. It's wanting to go. It definitely does want to go. There we go. That's in nice. And now I think the first hole that I done, I think that's now just been pulled off centre a bit. So yeah, that's definitely trying to go. So I think these holes are just ever so slightly off, not enough to make it impossible, but certainly making enough to make it tricky. So I don't know if you can see, this screw has gone and had to go in at a slight angle. It's gone in, it's definitely flush with the piece, and this is definitely in. Oh, yeah, that's definitely in solid. But yeah, so there we have a door for the compartment, and it's not brilliant because of the thickness of this door. It makes it a little bit tricky, but it's fine. We have a door, compartment door, so I'm happy enough with that. And that's the end of that step. That is the end of that stage. So on to stage 37, which is pretty much beginning this pack the same way we finishing the pack the same way we started. So be careful there. I just noticed a little door handle come flying out. So the parts that we've got is compartment inner, and it looks like there's going to be a shelf going in there. Then we have got let's see if I can tell these two apart. We've got, that's not the part I'm looking for next. Right, so this is already, I'm sure by coincidence that's just gone together. So this is the left hand door front and the left hand door back. I don't know if it is. These were together, which suggests they're together. This is the right hand door front and this is the right hand door back. and yes, so there's a small square in the back of the front. Does that make sense? So the right hand door front, if you flip it over, there's a small square there, and I think that's where the magnets should sit. However, this time they've put the magnet in the actual back, so that needs to be arranged. And it does actually say L42 and L42, so that needs to go in like that, so that that magnet would sit there if you apply glue on the other side. So I'm just going to double check that we've got these pieces correct, which we have, and as I say, they were bagged up together, so that would kind of suggest that they are together. Right, so next we have got shelf top and shelf bottom and a magnet and no magnet. So where, there we go, still in the bag. Right, so this looks like the shelf top, and I think it's this because it's got two holes in it. This is the shelf bottom, and I believe that's a shelf bottom because it's got two pegs. And then this is the magnet, and lastly we have a door handle. Again, this is nothing really we've never seen before. It would appear that there's lots of repetitive tasks to because obviously there is lots of storage needed. Right, so I think that is not the correct part. Assemble the right hand door in the same way as previous doors. Yes, so a couple of dabs of glue on each peg. These aren't taking a lot of weight, so they don't need a massive amount of glue. Have I said that before? I bet I've said that before numerous times, haven't I? So there only needs to be enough glue just to hold that panel on, so that's absolutely fine. Right, so apply glue before pressing the front and back firmly together, and then we do the same for the left hand door. So 2 pegs, dab of glue on each peg, check the orientation. I mean, the orientation should be correct because the way you've laid your parts out, they will be correct. So this may need a little bit. No, that's fine. That's gone straight in with the drying of the glue. And so the next step, take the compartment inner and note the different shapes of the hinges correspond to the shape hinge mounts on the compartment. Apply a little bit of glue to the hinge mount. So let's look at this one because it's got an odd shaped hinge. You'll see we've got, it kind of goes around, and I did notice that about this, funnily enough. I didn't pick it up though. So there we have an unusual shaped hinge, so we know that's going in like that. Once that's glued in, it means that that must be going in like so. And this has got an unusual shaped hinge, but this has got a flat bit. So what I'm going to do for this is I'm just going to apply a little bit of glue. In fact, I think I'm going to apply the glue to the hinge, because then that way we can be sure to apply glue just where the contact points are. However, try not to get glue actually in the hinge, because otherwise it will stop that hinge from working, and it will be stuck in either the open. Do you know what? I can't get any glue out of this bottle. You know, sometimes it just won't work. I think the end is blocked up. Right, which puts me in an awkward position. Sorry guys. I don't screw up all the time. Well, actually I probably do, don't I? There we go. So that has forced me to have to apply glue with a cocktail stick, because I've squeezed it all out on the plastic, but that's really not the end of the world, is it? Right, so there we go, that's that stuck on. And again, I've said this before, don't worry about this too much, because this part is going to be hidden and we know that already. Right, so the next step is to repeat the other side. And again, this is an oddball one because we have a shaped hinge but we don't have a shaped part to glue it onto, so which I think makes it look a little bit odd. So let's just, sorry if you can't see this guys, but sometimes having a part in the best position for gluing is more important than you seeing it. There we go, there we go, that's in. And it's early morning, I don't know if you guys heard it, but I have the birds chirping just outside my window. So I've been doing a lot of renovation to my house. I say renovation, I've been tidying up the living room, and I've now got access to my balcony. And one thing I wanted to do was build a window box and put flowers and stuff, or herbs. I'm going to be putting a washing line in, and I also want to put a bird table in, because what better joy in the morning could there be than the birds frolicking outside your bedroom, your living room window. Right, so now we've got that done, we now need to put the door handle in, and again we are, because we're doing it repeatedly and often, we're remembering that that teardrop is pointing downwards. So too much glue on that cocktail stick. If you're not sure how much glue to put on the cocktail stick, put a little bit less on. If you're questioning, you might have too much. If it doesn't stick, then you haven't got enough glue on. If you've got too much, you could potentially make a massive mess. So if you haven't got enough glue on, you can always apply more. There we go. One lovely, lovely, lovely storage compartment. Okay, so I think we know what's coming next. We need to do the shelf. So to assemble the shelf, place the magnet in the channel at the front edge of the top of the shelf top, which is this one. So we've got a little channel in there, and it doesn't say to glue it unless it's going to say that in the next stage. This shows the magnet in place. Take the shelf bottom and line up the lugs with the fixing points in the shelf top. Apply glue before pressing the bottom part firmly into the top part. So let's make sure we've got this the right way round. Yeah, yes. So do you know what? I'm going to give that magnet just a tiny drop of glue for no other reason than to stop it from moving around. Now, we're not going to be shaking it, but if I lifted it up and I could hear or feel a little clink, I'd be like, oh no, I wish I'd done that earlier. So, and as we're going to be gluing this shelf in, whoops, a little tiny bit too much glue there, but the glue squidge is all going to be inside the shelf. Yeah, so as we're going to be gluing this, we're not going to have access to that magnet, so it's not like it needs to be a moving part. There we go, one shelf. That was about as simple as we could get for a change. And you'll notice that there's 2 holes there and no 2 holes there. And what we're going to do is we're going to slide this shelf in with the 2 holes upwards, because obviously we're going to be popping something into that. Right, bit of a tip for you guys. This is just ever so slightly wider than that, so wait till that glue is fully dry, because it's going to push that. Yeah, look, it's just starting to push that shelf apart. So just double check that, but that's, in the end, that's gone in fine. It's gone in enough that I'm happy with it. Right, so there's 2 holes should face upwards. It says nothing about glue, which I don't want to glue that anyway. And then it says check the doors shut correctly, which they do. And that is stage complete. That is pack 5 complete. So that is all we've done. So yes, that is 3 stages of pack 5 to complete. Are we happy with the packs? With the pack, I'm not sure. We're in the middle of the build now, and when we get to the middle of the build, things may slow down a bit. You know, we've got this big chassis that we got in an earlier issue. We've attached a 4th wheel, so the very fact that I've attached the wheel and this is now got some stability to it makes me very happy. The fact that we've built up a couple of more sub-assemblies, I'm okay with. I believe I said in another video that some people were complaining about another part work where it's build a part, here's a part, stick it in your collection. Well, if you do things like scale models, you would do that anyway, and you would call that sub-assemblies. So we do have a lot to show for the packs. You know, these are my sub-assembly. This is my sub-assembly box. As you see, there's quite a few bits and bobs in there. The box is getting smaller where the parts are coming out of there and onto the fire truck. And obviously we've got this big, I'm going to bring it down to basic terms, this big red lump. Oh, let's not forget this as well. So I was having a play since I built the last stage, and I'm not 100% sure, but I think that this box is going into there. And as I was building this stage, it looks like this box might be going into there, and this box isn't going to go in there. And obviously we can see where this is going to fit, because it's going to go about there, or it's going to go about there. So yeah, I think I am happy with this pack, and I think the next pack is going to hopefully be assembling lots of parts. We've certainly been getting screws for it. You know, I think we're going to have a pack where we're pretty much going to empty our screw pots. But yeah, so that I'm actually rather happy with. Essentially, this is what we've built in the last 7 issues, and it's growing. And obviously we've not lifted all of the pieces together, but this is rather heavy. The chassis isn't quite as heavy. It has got some weight behind it, but it's probably not as heavy as you'd think. This is slightly heavier than you think. This is metal, so this isn't light. Once you combine them all together, I think it's going to be quite a hefty weight, and I think it's going to need that weight, because although we've got these struts coming out, you know, we've got these little support bits, and we've got, oh, this one does weigh a ton. Obviously we've got these supports. We've got this massive ladder to expect. Now if you fully extend this ladder upwards, it's going to give it a very high center of gravity, and that means it's going to topple over easily without explaining the science. Now there's two basic ways to lower the center of gravity. One is to make the whole thing wider, which is obviously what these are for, but also make it heavy on the bottom. And this is why things like double-decker buses work really well, because all the engine is in right at the bottom where all the weight is, and there's not so much weight upstairs, so it gives it a lower center of gravity, which makes it harder to topple over, which is why I suspect that this is a big metal block. I think it's just going to lower the center of gravity. But anyway, as always, I waffle on. Oh look, I've just found this sub-assembly. This is the very first thing that we did on the build, is the hose. I wonder how many more hoses we're going to end up with. So yes, so right guys, that is it for this pack. I can't tell you what's coming in the next pack because I haven't received it yet. I hope you will join me in next week's video, which by that time I would have received the pack, and we'll see how we get on. So take care guys, I'll see you in another video.